Welcome back to the channel. We're out here in the greenhouse. We just got done collecting some of our walnuts here, and I was checking out Sean over at Edible Acres last video on all of his walnut harvesting and boiling them down and hulling them, and that got me to thinking that I have some walnuts that I could use for a different kind of project. And we are going to be saving some of the walnuts. Obviously, we like to save them, eat them and stuff. So instead of boiling all of these walnuts down and boiling all of the husks off of them, cleaning them up and having walnut boiled water that we could use as a stain, we are going to use some simple ingredients. We've got two ingredients today, walnuts and our other ingredient. So if all that sounds interesting to you, please hit that subscribe button, as that's all we do pretty much here on our channel. A whole bunch of DIY stuff and cheap and or free items used, and as simple as possible. I like to explain things to everybody. So let's get into today's video. So one reason I want to use vinegar over water. Vinegar is our other ingredient. We're using distilled vinegar. So the vinegar is going to react with the tannins in the wood, and it is going to actually stain it, and it's going to hold that stain. If you use water and boil that down, you can get a good stain and a good stain material, because it's really going to hold that stain better, reacting with the tannins. So this is one I really wanted to show everybody. So let's get right into this. We've got to crush our walnuts. So since these were already wet, it's been pretty rainy out here lately. We're just gonna take these, and I suggest wearing gloves or not touching them at all. So we're just going to take the walnut and we'll take our husk there. We're going to grab up a few of these husks. So I went through and I've got like 3 or 4 walnuts, and I kind of pulverized these just by hand, as small as I could get it. They're not super fine. These don't have to be broken up and powdered or anything like that. They're kind of damp, like I said. So getting these completely broken down is not going to be a feasible task right now. So what we're gonna do is just drop a little bit in this one, a little bit more in the next jar, and we will drop the most in the last jar. So trying my best not to get this stuff on me, I use gloves, and I suggest everybody uses gloves, because this stuff can stain you for a couple days to like 3 months. You can have stain on your arm or somewhere that you don't use very frequently. Like your hands, it comes off as fast as you use your hands or wash it off. That stain really holds on parts that you don't use. So I suggest using gloves, longer rubber gloves, so you don't get it on your arms and stuff like that. Usually I'm using a long sleeve when I'm doing this. So what I've done here is I've taken all 3 of these jars. I'm gonna show everybody here. We've got a little tiny bit, medium amount, and a lot. So simply, we're going to make a light, medium, and dark stain with this. All I've got to do is fill these jars up with vinegar, put the lid on, and basically shake it. So very simply, I just made my own DIY stains. I've got a very light stain. You can see that it does have some color to it. It looks kind of like pond water. I mean, that is about the lightness of this. It's a little bit darker than the wood I have it sitting on. We've got our medium stain next to our dark stain. So you can clearly see that there's 2 different pigmentation, basically just based off how many hulls you put in to your vinegar. One thing I want to note is that I have some cheesecloth here, and I'm not going to strain these out when I do store it and make some for long term. I really like to strain it out. I'll take my cheese grate and I'll pour them into another jar, so I have a clean liquid that is my stain. And this stuff will sit, you can keep it good for quite some time. The longer it sits in the sun, the faster it biodegrades, so, or in any cool dark place just for storage. So it's pretty cool to be able to have access to free wood stain. Basically spent like $2 on a jug of distilled vinegar, so very easy to do. Let's check these out. So first off, you can use this stuff pretty much right away. So this is our light stain. I guess I didn't get that in the camera angle, my bad here. So we've got this part that we just stained. You can clearly see the line right here, and it just brings the wood to life. So we got our board finished up here, and this literally took me 5 minutes to complete this entire project. I mean, I'm making small batches here, but I could just as easily make a huge batch. It doesn't take very long to crush those walnuts up and get the husk separated from the nut. And I'll show you why I use that cheesecloth when I'm doing this on a real job here. This was just a test board. This is the darker side here, and you can see little bits of walnut husk, and that wood really looks good. You can see the little middle line here, and there's not a whole lot of difference because these were just made. Now, if you let this walnut stain sit in a cool, dark place, the longer it sits, the darker it's gonna get and the more pigment it's going to pull out. So leaving these for a week in a dark place is going to really bring all that out. And we'll have a true light, medium, and dark stain that's going to show different pigment. Right now, they're kind of shades of different color, but they are definitely darker than one another. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. This was a very simple DIY. Anybody with a walnut tree can go harvest these up and basically make their own stain for wood that's going to last quite some time. We've done a few little projects that are outside with it, and it seems to hold up. I mean, just as good as any other sealer that has chemicals in it and stuff like that. So we're just trying to do another DIY organic paint, basically, or organic stain. I'd really like to thank everybody, as we're getting a bunch of new subscribers all the time, and welcome aboard, and hopefully everybody enjoys all the content and all the little DIYs we do. So thank you guys, and until next time.